Hello everyone, this is Lahama Mazumdar, Assistant Professor, School of Law and Justice, Adamas University. Today I'll be speaking on introducing the concept of trademarks to you. So I'll be recording about introduction to trademarks. So basically, trademarks is one of the modules under the subject of intellectual property rights. It is a type of an intellectual property right. Intellectual property rights are basically proprietary rights that are awarded to innovators, creators who have created something from their own intellect, from their own minds, something that has been awarded protection by the government because of their applicability, because of their use. So it is the creation of your own mind, creation of your own intellect that has been provided protection as a proprietary right to the inventor. As you can see, intellectual property is the creative work of human intellect and is an efficient device to stimulate innovation and foster the economic and technological development of a nation. There are different types of intellectual property rights that are currently awarded protection under the Indian law. We have patent. Patent is basically any invention that is novel, which is having an innovative step behind it, and which is having an industrial applicability, which is then given a 20 years protection by the Indian government to the inventor. Along with trademarks, we have copyright. Copyright gives protection to any artistic, literary, dramatic work, essentially providing protection to the person who has created that work, person or the entity who has created that work. Another type of intellectual property right is trademark. Trademark, as you can see, it has been provided protection under the Trademarks Act 1999. Section 2, Clause 1, Subclause ZB of the Indian Trademarks Act 1999 states that a trademark should be capable of being represented graphically and also should be capable of distinguishing the goods and services of one person from those of others. The trademark law currently protects the public from confusion and deception by identifying the source of the particular product as distinguished from other similar products. It protects the owner's trade and business as well as the goodwill that is attached to his trademark. So essentially, let me explain what trademark does. So, for example, if you are an entity or an individual who is wanting to create or produce a good in the market. So for example, you are producing a mobile phone. So there are multiple such producers in the market. Let's understand that one of those producers is Samsung. So Samsung is one company who produces it. So basically what is happening here is that when Samsung is producing that particular good, Samsung is using that label in order to protect the goodwill that it has in the market. So you know that when you are buying a Samsung product, it will protect that quality. That quality will be provided to you. Similarly, with regard to food, for example, we know that today there are multiple such companies who deliver food. So for example, we have KFC, who is famous for providing fried chicken, or for example, there is Bisleri, which is a water bottle. There is Cadbury, which is a particular type of chocolate. So these are all trademarks that essentially show that when this particular company is producing a particular chocolate, that chocolate will be named, that chocolate will be essentially sold with the trademark of Cadbury. So that is essentially the word mark that signifies where that product is coming from. Now, essentially when we talk about trademark, that is something that is a word mark that is created by an individual, and that particular word mark is used to sell that product further. And what the law does is it provides a protection to an individual to actually have a monopoly over that particular word mark, so that they can continue selling their good under that particular label, right? So that that brand value of that particular product can be kept intact for a long period of time. Uh, Now, trademark, particularly to go by the definition, uh, it can be divided in two halves. One is trade, one is mark. So, mark essentially includes a device, a brand, heading, label, name, signature, word, letter, numeral, shape of the good, packaging, combination of colors, or any combination thereof, right? So any of this mark, right, any of these type of marks, a label or a heading, a name, right, when these particular marks are being used in the course of trade in order to distinguish one particular good from that of other, that one good is coming from the source of one particular entity and one particular individual and not from others, then it is called a trademark, right? It represents that particular entity. The two requirements of trademark is that it should be distinctive. It should be able to, the particular trademark should be able to distinguish the goods and services of one entity from that of the other, and it should be capable of being represented graphically. So there should be a physical representation of that particular trademark. And the trademark could represent a good or a service for that matter, right? So it could be like, there's, you will see when you go out in the market, there are a lot of particular companies who have written like the word, the label, and then there's R over it. So that is what, that is exactly saying that it is a registered trademark. You have registered it with the registry in India, and that registry essentially provides the monopoly to the person to keep using it, so that they can prohibit somebody else from using that particular mark. That is the essential idea behind protecting a trademark, right? So it's a conclusive evidence of the fact that the company owns that particular trademark. So currently there are registries, there are offices in India which provide that particular trademark. So trademarks are administered by the Trademark Registry under the Controller General of Patent, Trademark and Designs. The head office is in Mumbai with offices in Kolkata, Delhi, Ahmedabad and Chennai. The term for a trademark registration is for a period of 10 years. However, it can be renewed for an indefinite amount of time, and for every 10 years you can file a renewal. The entity or the individual can keep renewing their timelines. Next, we'll be essentially understanding what is the nature of a trademark. So as you can see, a trademark is basically a symbol that is applied or attached to an article of manufacture, trade or merchandise, or to the covering in which it is sold, in order to distinguish it from the similar articles and to identify it with a particular manufacturer or a trader. For example, today you want to buy a toothpaste, right? So today you want to buy a toothpaste, and there are multiple such toothpastes that are available in the market, but you know that there are certain kind of toothpaste that are essentially very famous. For example, there's Colgate, right? Colgate is basically what? It is a trademark that shows that, you know, it comes from that particular manufacturer. So it's a trademark. Then we have other particular brands also that are there in the market. There's Sensodyne, there's other brands also there. So essentially, what is that brand Colgate or Sensodyne is doing? Sensodyne or Colgate is essentially acting as a bridge. It is a mark that is acting as a bridge between the good and the person having the right as a proprietor to use the mark. As in, when you buy a product that is marked with the label of Colgate, you know that it is coming from that company. So it is acting as a bridge between the creator of the product and me who is purchasing it, right? It is a source identifier for me. Thus, the trademark altogether has an existence of its own, independently of the article or the good to which it is applied or attached, so as to indicate the relation of the article to the particular person or the manufacturer or the trader. Colgate essentially relates the fact that it has been produced by that particular entity, right? For example, if it's a geo, going back to Reliance, right? So it is connected with the article or the goods only for the purpose of this identification. Trademarks are not limited to symbols in the strict sense, as the law theoretically permits the registration of unconventional marks as well. So it's not necessary it has to be a word, it could be a smell, it could be a perfume as well, and the mark could be the perfume itself, right? So there was this one instance where a tire was basically sold because of the fact that it was recognized by the smell. It smelled like it had a rose perfume coming out of it. So that smell itself was representing that particular trademark, the smell mark. It was a smell mark. So there are unconventional ways. There's a sound mark as well, like the sound of the Harley Davidson. So that's a different kind of a sound mark, roar of the lion, right? So these are all different types of trademarks that are there. Not necessarily that it has to be a word mark that is to be there. Regardless of whether trademarks are strictly symbols or not, it is reasonable to state that the power of the trademark and the legality that is attached to it is extraordinary. Uh, Now, there are certain functional qualities and peculiarities of an article that lie outside the boundaries of trademark protection and deserve attention elsewhere. Essentially, trying to say that trademark does not convey any information about the quality or the characteristic of the product. That is something that patents might have said, or advertising law will say that that the particular good has a good industrial applicability. It doesn't really say that that the quality is good. It is just saying that the quality is going to be constant, right? Whatever one particular entity provides, they will keep providing it. So it's just saying that that this is coming from that source. So it's a source indicator. That is what trademark is trying to portray. uh, Nevertheless, information about the physical attribute of the product is gained from the consumer's experience with the product attached to the trademark rather than from the trademark experience. It's actually depending upon uh, the number of usages that are there with regard to that particular product, right? What experience it has generated in the consumer's mind. That is something that is relevant here. Uh, Now, words are the most common type of mark. So, if you talk about uh, what are the most common types of trademarks that are there, word mark would be one of them, right? So, word marks would include coined word marks, like for example, Kodak or Apple, where they have no connection to the product that they are selling. Kodak, for example, is a random word which has no connection to the product, like for the camera that it is selling. Apple is essentially has no relation to laptops, right? Apple is fruit, right? So it has no connection to the particular product that it is selling. So these are fanciful marks. And then we have suggestive marks, which essentially suggest that what is the type of product that it is selling. So such as Kleenex, it is essentially showing that it is used to clean a particular surface. So it's a cleansing product, right? So there are different types of marks that are there. There are fanciful marks, there are suggestive marks, right? These are the different types of marks. We look at it when we read about the doctrine of distinctiveness, that there are different types of marks that are there, and according to it, as in the more distinctive the mark is from the product, the higher is the degree of protection that is attached to it. So if it is a particular mark that is signifying that this is the product, for example, if you sell orange juice with the trademark of orange, it is a generic mark, right? Everybody will be able to use it. It is a particular word that is common to everybody, because orange is signifying orange juice. Like orange juice, it can be signified by orange, so it's a generic mark. Okay, so it has very less degree of protection. But for example, like Apple with laptop, nobody will be able to relate it. So anybody who would be good in the market, they will not be able to relate that Apple could also be used to signify a laptop. So it's very difficult to protect it that way. So this is how, according to the doctrine of distinctiveness, the more distinctive the word is from the product that it is being used to sell, the higher is the degree of protection that is attached. Nonetheless, business entities that adopt word mark and especially suggestive marks run a risk that these words will become generic, hence will eventually fall into public use. In this case, the trademark loses the legal protection. So basically, it's an instance where the fact that the trademark is used as a source indicator is changed. Like the trademark becomes a product indicator. For example, Xerox, right? Xerox is one of the trademarks that is there. Xerox is the name of the company who sells that particular, like it helps you make photocopies. But at one point of time, it was so avidly being used in the market, it had almost become a synonym for creating photocopies. So you'd go anywhere and you'd say that Xerox, like give me a Xerox of this particular page. So Xerox was facing the case of genericide, right? It was facing the risk of becoming generic because of the avid public use that was there. And the same thing was also, like the same threat was also faced by Colgate, where it became synonymous to toothpaste. People would go to the shopkeepers and would say that Colgate, like please give me Colgate, whereby it became a product indicator. Like any toothpaste they would buy, but they would signify it as Colgate because of the avid public use, whereas Colgate is essentially signifying the trademark of that company. So when a particular trademark becomes a product indicator rather than a source indicator, the company generally faces the risk of genericide. The trademark faces the risk of genericide. Uh, in the next slide, we'll be speaking about need for trademark protection. Uh, so essentially, let me give you an idea with regard to why we need to protect IPR, intellectual property rights. So let's understand that um, see first we will be speaking about the concept of utilitarianism. So J.S.A. Mills, John Stuart Mill, essentially gave the concept of utilitarianism, whereby he said that greatest good for the greatest number of people. So whenever we are protecting proprietary rights to one person should be, when one person gets a proprietary right, that happiness should outweigh the harm of the society. So when we protect trademark, what happens is that when you give a proprietary right, a monopoly to one person, it also incentivizes the others to create a similar innovation. Not only that, uh, it also protects the consumer from the search cost of finding the same product again if the trademark was not there. For example, let's say if you like Dove shampoo, right? So imagine a society where Dove as a label was not there on the product. You'd go to a supermart and you would want to find the Dove shampoo that you had used last time, which was good for you, but the next time you're unable to find it because the label is not there. So because, or probably another person, if one person did not get the monopoly, the another person would also use the same trademark. So you'll not be able to understand which particular good or which particular bottle that you pick up is actually coming from the original source. So that is why it will not protect the individual of the cost of the search of a genuine product. So that is why trademark protection is necessary for the consumer as well. Now, according to H.L.A. Hart, he believed in the concept of limited resources that govern our actions. He said that we simply cannot have everything we want, and law is necessary to adjudicate competing claim. It is also necessary to institute the concept of property and provide for its protection. Thus, through law, one will be able to keep what he or she is legally entitled to possess. When a person creates an innovation, they exert certain amount of labor and skill into creating that particular property, and because it is a manifestation of their own will, it is a creation of their own labor and skill, they derive protection on it, they derive a proprietary right on it, right? And when it is a property, it is a limited resource, there are competing claims to it. And therefore the property is open to exploitation. And when something is open to exploitation, it is vulnerable to threat, it is important to attach protection. And the same is with trademarks, right? Because it is a property that is vulnerable to exploitation, that is exposed to threats. And because it is exposed to threat, there is a threat of competition, and that is why there is a need to provide protection to that particular good, to that particular property. And that is why we also try to provide protection to the trademark that is created by an entity. Moreover, there are multiple other concepts, one being the concept of utilitarianism, another being Locke's labor theory, through which we say that, because intellectual property right is the manifestation of one's labor, it is creation of one's own labor and skill, it is something that derives protection. Also, according to Hegel's personality theory, IPR, trademarks, patents, copyright, these are all external manifestation of our own will. And anything that is a creation of our own will, of our own personality, it derives protection. It is supposed to get protection. So that is why there is a need for protecting the trademark that is there. In the next slide, we'll be speaking about functions of a trademark, what essentially the trademark does. Till now, what we have understood is what is trademark. So trademark, as you have seen from the last few slides, is that trademark is basically a source indicator. A trademark offers a guarantee that all the goods or services bearing the same trademark have originated under the control of one undertaking which is responsible for its quality, right? So it is a source indicator. It says that, if there is a trademark of Dove on a bottle of a shampoo, it comes from that particular manufacturer. If there is a trademark of distillery on a water bottle, it comes from that manufacturer, right? So it is essentially stating that it is coming from that particular source. So that is essentially the origin identifying function of a particular trademark. And that origin identifying function eradicates the likelihood of confusion and helps the consumer decide what they actually want. So if you have gone to the market and today bought a shampoo with the trademark of Dove and you used it and you found it useful to you and you decide to keep using it, the next time you go to the market to buy the Dove shampoo, the trademark essentially helps you identify that it is coming from there. So to some extent, if we don't give monopoly to the producer of the Dove shampoo, then another person, another entity could use the same mark and confuse you as to where the good is coming from. That is why we need to protect the trademark. There are two theories which essentially justify this function. First is the search cost theory. Let me explain that for you. So search cost theory essentially says that if today you go to the market to search for a product, it's very difficult to identify the product that you want to use, right, which suits you. So if you want to buy a shampoo, it is going to create a problem for you to search the product that you want. And after putting that much cost, after using a lot of shampoo bottles, when you identify that, this particular shampoo is suitable to you, probably Dove is suitable to you, it is going to protect you from severe search cost after this, right? You'll know that, okay, you go to the market, you buy the Dove shampoo. But if you let other producers use the same label, if you allow the other producers to use the same trademark, it would confuse you as a consumer. So increasing your search cost again to identify, okay, which particular source I had taken it the last time from. And it would create trouble for you, right? Increasing your search cost. Which is why, according to the search cost theory, providing protection to the trademark creator also provides some sort of security to the consumer in the world at large. That's one point. Second function of trademark could be understood from the quality assurance theory, which essentially states that once you go to the market to buy a particular product, for example Dove in the earlier case, so when you buy a Dove product, there is a security that is provided to you as a consumer, whereby you know that the same quality that you had been provided with in the last time is also being provided to you this time, right? So you have developed an understanding that there will be no difference in quality of the product. So it assures you that the quality of the product will stay the same every time you buy the same bottle of shampoo. So that is quality assurance for the consumer at large. But it does not only work one way. It also works from the side of the trademark producer, the particular entity who has applied for the trademark, because they also have to ensure that the particular quality of the product that they are selling in the market has to stay the same, right? So they have to assure you that the quality will be staying the same. They have the obligation to assure the quality of the product, right? So they have to make sure that the quality does not change. There is this obligation on them. And that is essentially what quality assurance theory also justifies. So these are the two functions. These are the two functions of a trademark. It acts as a source indicator, and by acting as a source indicator, what it essentially does is it marginalizes or it minimizes the search cost of a particular individual with regard to finding a product of their choice, and it also tries to build a quality assurance for the consumer when he or she goes to the market to buy a product. So this is the quality assurance theory. Yes, so this is where we would end the particular first lecture on introduction to trademarks. To give you a slight recap about what we discussed in this particular lecture, we introduced the concept of trademark. So we defined trademarks like it is a mark that is currently enjoying a monopoly given by the government, right? So it's a trademark, that is a mark that is used in the course of trade to signify it as a source indicator, to signify it that it is coming from a particular manufacturer. Word marks are of different kinds, right? There is a fanciful mark, there is an arbitrary mark, there are generic marks, there are suggestive marks, there are different kind of marks that are given protection. There's a word mark, there's a device mark, there's a color mark, there's a smell mark, there's a sound mark, right? So there are different kinds of marks that are given protection, and the essential function that it does, that it complies with, is that it is acting as mitigating the search cost, and it also assures the quality of the product. It acts towards identifying the source of a product, right? So these were the few concepts of trademark law that we discussed in the very introductory session. So that is it for the first lecture. Thank you so much.